Donald Trump, someone quite different now, Donald Trump, I wonder if he loves his dog, has made his first 2024 presidential campaign appearance in South Carolina.
Now, in a speech made just a few hours ago, Mr. Trump says he is the man to once again lead the United States.
The 2024 election is our one shot to save our country, and we need a leader who is ready to do that on day one. We need a fighter who can stand up to the left, who can stand up to the swamp, stand up to the media, stand up to the deep state. Am I allowed to say stand up to the rhinos, too? I think we can say that. I think we can say that. Stand up to the globalists and China, and stand up for America, and that's what we do. We stand up for America.
He's not at all modest, is he? Now, joining us is the former advisor to the Clinton and Bush administrations, Steve Gill. A very good morning to you, Steve.
Good morning. You got to love the way he says China. And for those in England, a rhino is not an animal. You were talking about animals. It's a Republican in name only. It refers to the more moderate wing of the Republican Party, not the conservative wing. So it's not about animals.
Well, what I found interesting about the speech is that Trump, as always, I always feel he's more of a showman than he is a politician, and I just wonder if that old shtick is wearing a bit thin now, even amongst Republicans.
There is definitely some Trump fatigue as we head into another election cycle. And I think there was some expectation, maybe some hope back in November when he announced he was going to seek re-election again, that we were going to see a Trump 2.0, maybe a less blustery, less angry individual at the helm. And he certainly did a speech back in November that seemed to show that. But we were seeing not Trump 2.0, but I think more of Trump the sequel in his appearances in Iowa and New Hampshire and in South Carolina this weekend, where the fight was there, and some attacks on prospective opponents was back as well. So hopefully we'll get back to the more calm and reasonable Trump and not see more of the fighter. Although people do want a fighter, they just don't want some of the aggressive tactics that we've seen before.
I mean, it's interesting if the Republican Party are getting a little bit fed up with him. And what about the optics in all of this? I don't know if this matters to the American audience. I mean, it always strikes me when you see Mr. Trump perform, he's just reading the auto cue, isn't he? He's just, you can see him just reading the script, whoever's written it. Whereas someone like Ron DeSantis, of course, whether you like him or not, seems to be a more natural performer, perhaps having more credibility. Now, does that sort of thing cut through in the States?
I think, frankly, it's a better Trump when he's sticking to script. Where he gets in trouble a lot of the times is when he starts rambling on his own and kind of going off on riffs, going off on a longer speech. I think his biggest challenge is that it's not the same election when he ran the first time and he was able to sort of whittle down his opponents by the personal attacks until I think Ted Cruz was the last man standing, or 2 years ago when he was the incumbent president. He's already shown some anger and animosity over the fact that some of the people who were backing him 2 years aren't jumping on board now. And you've got in South Carolina, a couple of candidates, Nikki Haley, the former governor who went on to the United Nations, Tim Scott, who's a U.S. senator, talking about running as a favorite son or daughter in that state. In New Hampshire, you've got Governor Sununu talking about running. That could really skew the results in these first two primaries and really cause some trouble for Trump moving forward if he has to kind of limp into some of the big primary days like Super Tuesday, where about 12 states will have their primaries on one time. So it's going to be a long slog, and it's going to be a different campaign for Trump than it has been the last two cycles.